Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Premier League Talk, where we take a look at three fixtures from the previous weekend and analyse them in further detail. So without further ado, let's get into the three games that I've picked out from the previous weekend's action. We'll start at the London Stadium, where West Ham ran out 3-1 winners against Sunderland thanks to an absolute wonder goal from Matthias Fernandes, as well as a penalty from Jarrod Bowen and a great header from Crysencio Somerville. And look, the scoreline really tells the story of the game. West Ham utterly and completely deserved the 3 points in this fixture. The return leg at Sunderland was actually 3-0 to the Black Cats on that occasion. So it felt like West Ham had a sort of added importance on this fixture to turn around the result from earlier on in the season. And it's huge in terms of their bid to try and stay in the Premier League. If we look at the game itself, West Ham were 3-0 up by half-time. They completely dominated the first half, and really it could have been more. Roofs made a couple of good saves. I think there were a couple of near misses as well. But the goals that West Ham did get were utterly brilliant. I mean, first and foremost, Crysencio Somerville opens the scoring with a brilliant header before Matthias Fernandes fires in an absolute rocket. I appreciate Jarrod Bowen scored a penalty as well, but it was an absolute worldie from Matthias Fernandes, who looks like he could be a real long shot demon, because he also had another attempt later on in the second half which hit the bar and caused all sorts of chaos in the Sunderland box. West Ham thought they'd forced it over the line. The Sunderland defence managed to keep it out, so it wasn't 4-1 in the end. Brian Brobby, of course, pops up with the consolation goal for the away side. Bit unfortunate for them. This is a sort of poor run of form we've seen with Sunderland recently. Regis Labrise, his side, seem to be sort of slipping down the table. They're now out of the top 10. We know about 2 months ago they were in the top 4. And I think, look, they've had a very good season. They're going to stay in the Premier League, and that was their sole objective coming into it. I mean, I know they spent a lot of money coming into this season, but still, I think it's important for them that they are, in a solid mid-table position. I can't see them slipping any lower than where they are now. But if we look at the home side's prospects, massive 3 points. Unfortunately, other results didn't go their way this weekend, but still it's pulled them right back into contention. 22 points now. They're further clear of Burnley and Wolves. Yes, Nottingham Forest and Leeds managed to pull away, but still they're right on their coattails, and they should hopefully be using this to spur on a good run of form. That's 2 wins in a row now for the Hammers, a win at Tottenham and a win at home against Sunderland. That's massive for confidence, and we'll have to wait and see how it affects them moving further on into the season. Our next game is, of course, Bournemouth 3, Liverpool 2, the 5:30 kickoff at the Vitality on Saturday night. And what a brilliant performance this was from the Cherries. Their second win in 3 and their second win in 14 games. So it's been a bit of an upturn in form for Iraola's side after that really poor winless run, which had seen them go without 3 points since October. And look, this was almost a perfect game for them to get it. Liverpool were coming into this. They were unbeaten in 13. They just had a brilliant performance away at Marseille during the week in the Champions League, where they really looked back to their free-flowing, attacking best. But ultimately, they were bested here by Bournemouth, and it was thanks to a few sloppy errors from Liverpool. Let's get into it first and foremost. Bournemouth took the lead through Evan Nielsen. It was a good goal, and then Jimenez scores a brilliant goal as well, where he just runs down the side of the pitch and fires it across Alisson into the bottom corner. Van Dijk makes the mistakes. I can't remember which goal it was for. It might have been Evan Nielsen's, where he just doesn't close the ball down. Well, he gets himself in front of it. The ball sort of trickles out. The Bournemouth fullback gets there, puts the ball in. Van Dijk isn't quick enough to react to close that down. And Evan Nielsen's there. I think it was Evan Nielsen's goal, actually, to tap it in. And it just summarises Liverpool's season at the back defensively. They've been so lacklustre, so without effort, and it's just the individual mistakes that have cost them at points this season. Yes, Van Dijk did get a goal to bring them back into it, and then Szoboszlai equalised in the second half. And from that point, you're thinking, okay, you know what, to come from 2-0 down, it's a tough place to go, Bournemouth. Liverpool will probably end up settling for a point. But Adley comes up with a late winner. And it was a good goal. I mean, let's be real, it was scruffy. The ball was bouncing around quite a lot. But he's there to stick it in. And at the end of the day, 3 points is all that matters. And I think there'll be chances that Liverpool will rue. I think they just look so void of ideas going forward. Florian Wirtz looked off at Mo Salah, back from AFCON. Yes, he looked bright at certain points. But again, still not back to his clinical best. I think they're missing a real key creative link in the forward line. I think Wirtz has to play because of his price tag, or at least that's what it feels like for Arne Slot. Whether he warrants playing is a different matter altogether. Szoboszlai, again, seems to be Liverpool's best player, comes up with another goal. It was a very, very well-worked free kick. McAllister looked off it. I think the fullbacks for Liverpool were really poor, especially with one of the goals. I think it was Kirkes who just gets completely done on the outside, and Frimpong isn't tracking his man. Robertson came on. He looks like he could be linked with a move to Spurs this window. We'll have to wait and see what transpires there. I mean, it's the 27th, so there's only 4 days left. We'll have to wait and see if that happens. But again, all of Liverpool's big money signings in the summer haven't really hit the ground running. I know Florian Wirtz had come up with some sort of goal scoring form recently, but it just didn't transpire in this game. And I thought Bournemouth were the worthy winners at the end of the day. So massive 3 points for them. As I said, their second win in 3, which is really important. That's wins against Spurs and Liverpool now with a draw. I can't remember who they were away at last weekend, but a draw in the middle of both of those. Liverpool, that brings to the end their unbeaten run. I mean, when we say unbeaten run, it was a bit lackluster, but they still hadn't lost many games. And ultimately, I think there are rumours linking Slot now with the sack. Xabi Alonso is obviously free. He's been released by Real Madrid, sacked by Real Madrid, so he'll definitely be the name lined up with replacing Slot. And I wouldn't be surprised if... I don't think they'll sack him during the season. I don't think that's a possibility, but I wouldn't be surprised if we move into next season and see Xabi Alonso at the helm at Anfield. So as I say, massive 3 points for the Cherries. It's really unfortunate that winless run went on for as long as it did, because I think it knocked them out of contention for Europe. But Liverpool are now out of the top 4. They've been leapfrogged by both Chelsea and Man United, so a lot of work to do for the Redmen. And then finally, I think, as much as I want to avoid it, we have to talk about it. Arsenal 2, Manchester United 3. And I want to start with Man United because I thought they were phenomenal. They really were. And I don't know what it is about Michael Carrick, but that's 2 wins in a row against the 2 title favourites. And I don't think this one wasn't as comprehensive as the one against Manchester City. Manchester City, they absolutely dominated them, and it could have been 4-5-6. They had goals ruled out, and they obviously won 2-0, but the scoreline didn't really reflect the dominance. This was a much more scrappy game. And if I'm honest, they just prevented Arsenal getting out of third gear. I do think we'll stick on United for a second. I mean, obviously, Dorgu and Cunha were absolute wonder goals that came out of nowhere. If we look at the 3 goals they got, 2 were absolute screamers and 1 was a gift from Zubimendi. What he was doing to pass that ball to Mbeumo, I have absolutely no idea. And that's ultimately what cost Arsenal the game, because apart from that, I don't think United looked dangerous, but defensively they were very solid, very robust, and they weren't really giving up anything for Arsenal to get their, to chew on. And look, massive 3 points for them. They're into the top 4 now. And I think Carrick is definitely I was very much in the mindset of you've got to be very cautious with Carrick, because no matter how well it goes, we've seen this story before, and you go down the route of appointing a manager and it all goes toxic at the end. I do think they still need to hold their nerve here at the board. Carrick, I don't think, is the man to take it forward. If we reevaluate the situation in the summer, we might be wrong. But right now, I do still think they need to hold their nerve and let the season play out. But as I say, a massive 3 points for United. And if he can get them top 4, then why not give him the job? Because that will be a phenomenal turnaround from last season. And even since the start of this new year, when they lost Ruben Amorim as their manager. Sorry. If we talk about Arsenal, look, I thought we were scared. I sort of wanted to give it a few days. I made an instant match reaction after it happened, and I didn't really know what I was feeling, because this is only our 3rd loss of the season. All 3 of them have come in the Premier League, and they've all been games where we haven't really taken the initiative. Anfield, we could have gone and got something out of that game, but we were very scared and timid and didn't get anything out of it. Villa, we lost to the last minute, but again, we had opportunities to go and win that game, and that was gutting. But this one hurts the most, I have to say, because this is a game we should be winning. I'm sorry, I don't care how well Man United were doing against Manchester City. You're playing them at home. You're top of the league. You've got a chance to go 7 points clear again. A massive opportunity to pull clear of Man City. And we didn't take it. Ultimately, we didn't take it. I thought we looked scared. I thought we looked timid. I thought we looked nervous. And it's incredibly worrying, because we've seen traits like this before, especially in 22-23, when we were the ones that were clear, not the chasing pack. And ultimately, we all know what happened there. It needs to improve, because in the past 3 games, we've had Liverpool at home, Nottingham Forest away, and Manchester United at home. We've picked up 2 points out of a possible 9. And for a title team that's supposedly running away with the league, that is just unacceptable. It really is. And I've thought about it, because ultimately I was gutted, because you lose the 3 goals, which 2 of them you can't do anything about. You really can't. I thought the draw was a fair result, if I'm honest, when Mourinho put it in. I don't think we deserved to win, because we didn't create any chances, and that's another thing I'll get onto in a second. But it was just poor. It really was poor. And we've got to get our act together. We really do. I think we've got Leeds away now, Brentford away, then Chelsea at home, then Tottenham away. That's 12 points we have to pick up. Without a shadow of a doubt, that is 12 points we have to pick up. City have got very, very tough fixtures coming up. They travel to Tottenham, then I believe they've got Liverpool at Anfield, which again, that'll be rocking because they don't seem to do well at either of those two stadiums. I know at Tottenham recently it's been better, but still, those are two tough games. Villa, we can't rule them out as well. They've got Brentford at home this weekend. We play Leeds away on Saturday, and we have the chance to be 7 points clear before those two play on Sunday. We have to be 7 points clear. No excuses. A win has to happen at Leeds. But we take on Kairat Almaty in the Champions League first, trying to secure a perfect record, which would be brilliant, I think, for confidence. But that's not a game we really look at and say, yeah, that could define our season. This Leeds game next weekend, I think, is crucial for our season. If Arsenal can win that, I think we're clean sailing. But as I say, it's been very worrying. And I've been vocal of it. You've seen on my match reactions, I think we've been riding our luck. And ultimately, our luck ran out on the weekend. 2 wonder goals, which you can't do anything about. And Zubimendi fluffing around. So yeah, look, massive 3 points for United. And Arsenal have to improve. Anyway, if we then take a look at the Premier League table for this week, let's see how it has ended up. I'll put it on screen now. If we look at it, Arsenal are still top, 4 points clear, travelling to Leeds. City and Villa both won this weekend, though, so a huge missed opportunity for them to maintain their 7-point gap. United, as I say, into the top 4, closely followed by Chelsea and Liverpool. All three of those sides only separated by 2 points before Fulham trail them in 7th after a good win this weekend against Brighton. Brentford down to 8th, 2 losses in a row now, and they travel to Villa on the weekend. That will be a tough one for them. Newcastle down to 9th. They lost this weekend as well to Aston Villa. Great performance from Villa at St James's Park. Everton in 10th, a draw against Leeds United on Monday Night Football. They had the chance to go up into 7th place if they had won, but they were unable to get the 3 points at home. Sunderland in 11th, loss at West Ham. Brighton in 12th, loss at Fulham. Bournemouth up to 13th with 3 points over Liverpool. Spurs in 14th, still winless in their past 5, a 2-2 draw at Burnley. Don't think it's enough to sack Thomas Frank, but he's still in a very perilous position. And with Manchester City on the weekend, you do worry for Tottenham. Crystal Palace in 15th. Again, I'm very surprised Glasner hasn't been forced out, although he is leaving at the end of the season. So I wonder if they're just writing the rest of the season off in the Premier League and focusing on the Conference League. Leeds in 16th, Forest in 17th. A good win for them away at Brentford. I don't think anyone really saw that coming. And it allowed them to pull further clear of West Ham, who themselves are in 18th on 20 points, still 5 points behind Nottingham Forest, and they travel to Stamford Bridge next weekend in what will be a very, very tough fixture. For Burnley in 19th, and then Wolves finish off the table. Finally, their unbeaten run was broken this weekend with the 2-0 loss at Manchester City. But that is it for the table. I mean, look, it's starting to close up and it should be a very, very entertaining next few months. So brilliant. Thank you very much for watching this episode, guys. Look, a great weekend of football. It really was. And we'll have to see what happens moving on to next weekend. So yeah, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.